We are back with
We are
Coach
back.
Rahul and my co-host, Coach Mishti. This is Applied Professional and Executive Coaching 101 Conversation. It happens on the first Tuesday of every month. We bring you fellow coaches to talk about the trends, the insights, and share some knowledge. We are with Coach Rahul. Coach Rahul, you are based in Mumbai, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's take it from where we left it. And we're also very interested in hearing about the work that you do for non-commercial purposes with the young people out there and why you do that work. But just conclude what you were saying when we went on to a break about responding to the questions that Mishti has asked. You want to repeat that question for the benefit
Yes,
of our listeners,
a-
Mishti, and our viewers?
absolutely. Absolutely, Rahul. So we wanted to know more about the coach, Rahul. We've
Yeah.
we've heard about your work in emerging markets and the leadership coaching and facilitation that you do. But a little bit about Coach Rahul, his journey, and what is your passion area? What is the mission of Coach Rahul like?
Sure. Thank you. So I was just telling how, and the reason I'm sharing that is, if anyone wants to be one, it's you don't need the linear career, literally, because I've come from a non-linear career, if I may use that word. So I was telling how
Mm.
I graduated and I did picked up my MBA after 7 years of work experience, and I realized I need to really work on deep leadership development training, and that's when my formative experience came of being a faculty. So I was a faculty for Narsi Monji Institute of Management for almost 3 years, and that really helped me. And after that, I joined my first organization in the HR fraternity in the area of recruitment and selection and HR consulting. And that changed my career because I transitioned from a sales and advertising professional to an HR professional with experience of training, especially the children and the young adults, college students, as well as the MBA aspirants. So that positioned me pretty well in the organization, and that's when in 2007 a leadership organization came forth, and I joined this leadership global organization in 2007, and that really was very, very different from my experience standpoint. For the last 14 years I've been working full time, and along the way I realized that I always had a dream to give back, especially for youth, because when I was growing up I didn't have mentors or coach who could help me, and I thought this is such a beautiful profession. And that quest of really doing something for the youth made me pursue coaching. And I'm sure a lot of us who have a thought or initial thought of coaching, you would see there is a huge amount of coaching practices. There are many companies who are offering you coach certification, and already one of the body, which is ICF, is the core body worldwide which acknowledges you. And I was a little frustrated because I wanted something in youth. Of course, I wanted to also coach executive, but I wanted an institute which coaches youth and executive. And I really strive to search for it because I didn't want it to go a common linear way of, okay, become an executive coach and things like that. And that's when I dabbled into one of the institute in Dallas called Youth Coaching Institute, and it was so amazing to see that they had an accreditation to ICF as well. So here you're getting trained on the youth context. At the same time, your certification is acknowledged because you can use the same competency to coach senior executive. And I think that was a great transition for me. And 18 months of toiling hard and really coaching youth and executive helped me gain their certification. I'm an associate coach now, ACC, what they call it in ICF. So I've done that. And last 1.5 years I've been working with students, because if you need good leaders, you need to go back to students, and how do you coach students so that you will have tomorrow's leader. I think that is my vision, because how do you ensure you get great leaders for tomorrow if you don't work on today's young adults, and that's what I do a lot. I on the weekends I do coaching on habits, coaching, and for year, interestingly, Sam, my sponsors are parents, and they come with their own perspective. And when we speak to these toddlers who are 8th to 12th grade, their
Mm.
expectation, their fears, their worries, so different. And so amazing to see that there is very few people really working in this area. And there's such a huge need because they feel that they can speak their heart out without getting judged, which they do very often when they are dealing with their parents or teachers, because they're constantly getting judged on performance. But here, we're not judging you on performance, you're judging you on you as a person. And that's a huge shift for kids, especially students, and they connect pretty quickly with you, and they open up what are their challenges. And I call myself accountability partner because for parents, they want certain outcomes from these intervention. And there's a huge, as you see in corporate, this still is a nascent industry. 1970 it started, and in corporate it's still a very nascent industry in coaching, and in youth or in young adults is fairly new. So parents are completely oblivious about this fraternity. So you have to do a lot of work in guiding them and really acknowledging how you can play a role. So I'm finding that experience wonderful, and I would invite more and more coaches if you're interested to give your work, your time to young adults. So I do that currently. I'm working on one of the project on how young adults or young parents are so not comfortable talking about sex education. So I
Mm.
have worked on a youth series for parents to educate them how do you have good conversation or easy conversation with your teenagers when it comes to the aspects of a taboo word, which is sex. And I've already uploaded quite a few videos online. So I would invite people to come on and speak to me if you have want to do more of such work. I can be reached on my website called Coach Rahul S. CoachRahulS.com. So feel free to reach out. But it was wonderful catching up with you, Misty and Sam. And I feel privileged and all the best for such a wonderful work you both are doing on this platform.
Thank you so much,
Beautiful.
Rahul. Thank you, and more power to you and on your vision. Empowering youth and transforming them into future leaders. So I'm sure there's a lot people can gain from you. And thank you for accepting our invitation at such a short notice. We are very, very grateful for that. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much from my side as well. I'm sure it's not for the last time that we've spoken to you. I'm very much interested in the work you're doing around the youth. Our organization, Comesa, was established first as a youth development organization using sports in the flatland place of Johannesburg called Hillbrow. And today we are
Wow.
24 years old as a management consulting company. So that speaks to us. We're running a what we call holistic mentorship programs, applied holistic mentorship program, which is taking the mentorship throughout the value chain, basically from cradle to grave. That is how we look at it. We're coaching through mentoring through all the stages. That is one program that probably will really appeal to what you are doing. And I'm sure we'll have another session, Mishti, where we are just going to focus on mentoring and coaching the youth. And the Youth
Absolutely.
Coaching Institute might be valuable inputs and resource that we can share with our viewers and listeners. It's another date. It will be confirmed.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And
Wonderful.
be safe. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, Rahul. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Lovely. Wow. Sure. Beautiful, beautiful. Sometimes
Wonderful.
things happen for the reason. I think it was wonderful. It's a
Mm, mm,
great
mm,
conversation. Let's reflect a little bit, and then we come to you, Bishti, and your organization, the ODA, the new
mm,
relationship that is so exciting that we have spoken about it, but we haven't spoken
mm.
about it in on this platform. And I think as my co-host, the viewers will be very keen to hear from you what you are
Absolutely.
all about. But before we do that, what will you say was confirmed for you as a coach in this conversation with Rahul?
You know, I mentioned that earlier, and I would say that again that he used two C's a lot in this conversation. One was concretization, and the other was context. So,
Mm,
so for him, both these aspects are important. So he spends a lot of time on context setting or understanding the context. The context could be an organization context. We're talking about emerging countries. So it could be a global context, a country context, or it could be the individual context. So what I learned as a coach is the time that Rahul spends on just understanding the context with a lot of neutrality. So that was the interesting part. The other aspect that he spoke about was the need to help his coaches concretize their experiences, because it's something that we also use in psychodrama, and Rahul and I have done some trainings in psychodrama together, so I could relate to those concepts. So concretization, embodiment just helps you see things with a very clear perspective. Otherwise, the thoughts could be muddled up, and as coaches, there's so many thoughts running in your head because you're trying to get answers. You're trying to get answers. So there'll be continuous flow of thoughts happening. So you need to concretize that at some point to build clarity and to build perspective. So these two clear C's, two C's, two
yeah,
takeaways for me as of
yeah,
now.
yeah. For me, what was confirmed was that
Mm,
building a career to a point where you are helping others
mm,
can take many directions,
mm.
but there comes a point in time where you connect with your real calling. It appears to
Wonderful.
me that he is really
Mm,
connected with his calling late in
mm,
his career, and he's just blooming. I mean, the
mm,
fact that he's decided to go back and work with the young
mm.
people based on the
Mm,
experiences that he has made or the
mm,
gaps that he has
mm,
realized, that you
mm,
need to start very young. Because he
mm,
didn't have that help, he wants
mm,
to give
mm.
it. That for me is a confirmation. Any
Absolutely.
aha moment? At what point did
Yes,
you really
I
experience
think
the?
aha moment was, like you said in the preview last time, that we are warming up to the program. So there were many points in the conversation where actually you were voicing out my thoughts. Like, for example, I was wanting to ask about safe space, and you spoke about safe space. So there were points like that where I felt that you were voicing out my thoughts. So I realized that, as co-hosts, we're in the process of again concretizing the relationship and building
Yes,
on that connection required to interject at the right point. So that was a aha moment for me.
yeah.
And another aha moment was uh, Rahul's experiences. And one experience where he shared where, he connected with the celebrity, and how he opened up a dialogue and clicked photographs, and just demonstrated that how friendly cultures can be. So Rahul, I've known Rahul for some time, but I've discovered these aspects of his personality where he really goes on to connect with people and build those connections. So that was another interesting point. But
Mm,
overall, again, coming back to the same point, that here's a coach that invests a lot of time in pre work.
mm, mm,
There are some coaches that are very spontaneous, like even some
mm.
counselors and therapists, they're very spontaneous. They use the presencing, the sensing, the sense making in the journey. So
Yeah,
they'll probably spend just 5-10 minutes doing homework on the background, and then they will go with the flow and do a lot of presencing and sensing, and take the journey from there. But Rahul looks like someone who spends a lot of time on understanding the pre-work, the background, and then he takes off.
yeah. The aha moment for me was the mentioning of a coach as an integrator. I mean,
Mm,
that was an aha
yes,
moment for me.
yes. Yes,
Um,
definitely.
we often forget that
Mm,
responsibility, that we
mm,
are there to help integration process by asking
mm,
questions without judging. So
yes.
there's also that that aha moment for me. It says you are there for the coachee, not for the sponsors.
Mm,
And you go along what the coachee brings in, and we always talk about dancing with the client, following the
mm.
client where they go, and
Wonderful.
holding the mirror.
Wonderful.
They can
Mm,
see themselves through their own
mm,
ways.
mm,
I mean, and then he mentioned something that if as a coach, you must be coachy too. And I
mm,
must be honest, we do very
mm,
little of this.
mm,
And for me, that is a rude awakening today from this conversation. That we need
mm,
to have coaches too,
mm, mm.
as coaches, so
Yes.
that we can experience how it is to be a coachee.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely right. And there's another point, that I wanted to mention, and you came up with it. So there was another connect at that point was supervision. So the next question
Mm.
I was wanting to ask was, as a coach, do you undergo supervision? And you spoke about supervision. So that was
Yes, yes,
another
yes.
aha moment for me. But yes, I think supervision, not only in coaching, but because I also work as a counselor, supervision is very, very important because, you
Mm.
need to reflect on your own process.
Yes.
And you need to reflect on your process in two ways. One, in the role of a coach, and the other in the role of the individual you are.
Mm,
So
mm,
how much
mm,
of the person is being reflected in the coach, and if there are any feelings that are coming up, any challenges that are coming up. So is the and the reason why I keep using the word role is, again, it comes from a psychodrama perspective, where Dr. Moreno, the founder of psychodrama, says that there is not anything as self, it's actually the roles that we play. So the self emerges from the roles we play. So the
mm,
role, as Sam, as a coach, the role that he's playing, there will be aspects of the self emerging from that.
mm.
So when Sam, as a mentor or as a leader, would have different aspects. So I think supervision would really help in discovering those aspects and clarifying a lot of processes. So
Yes.
that
I
is
think,
important.
and then I think, and there's a comment for supporting your statement there from Kensani Chauke, somebody that I know, that yeah, indeed, Coach Mishti, she's agreeing with you, which is
Okay.
beautiful. Yeah,
Okay.
and
All right.
then I think
Thank you.
just to add to the supervision
Mm.
as well is as coaches, we need to invest time in continuous development of our own
Yes.
because we need to have the capacity to be able to offer something that is informed by trends too, and also
Yes.
add more to your kit. That's why I was very interested in the conversation around the methodologies.
Mm.
And he says that he is a context coach. I mean, that's, and you have spotted that as well. He's a
Mm.
context coach and a conversational coach. And I have used conversational coaching quite a number of times. It's amazing how much insights you develop in a client by just entering in your conversations. Of course, the
Mm.
client brings topics and you facilitate that conversation,
Mm.
and out of that you bring so much, and
Yes.
they resolve their own conflicts by just entering into conversation, sometimes not immediately, and later
Mm.
on when you get the SMS or WhatsApp and say, wow, that
Yes.
what we were talking about, I
Mm.
just experienced it this way. So therefore, we need to attend supervisions as coaches, and we need
Mm.
to be continuously developing ourselves. And I see this platform, the Applied Professional Executive
Mm.
Coaching 101 conversation that you and I hold with fellow
Mm.
coaches every month as part of own development, because we are learning
Absolutely.
from each other. Yeah,
We are learning
great.
from each other,
So
and
so
different
so.
techniques. Sam, just to add to that, another technique where you spoke about the empty chair, and last time when we were talking about, we were having a conversation with Anjani, where Anjani kept talking about the value that you're bringing in, what is the takeaway, the value. So I think another learning that's happening with every show that we're doing is bring in the different styles of coaches and some new technique that they use. So of course our coaches will be familiar with these techniques, but the unique style of coaching coupled with the techniques is it would be interesting to understand.
Yes, and our last month's guest Anjani, when I asked him about the coaching qualifications, he was quite very clear, and he says, if you're just going to depend on your coaching qualifications, then you will never be a coach. You need to use your own experiences, your own qualification,
Yes,
which
yes.
of course is a controversial statement.
Mm,
But I think it's there for that reason why we call this program an applied professional and executive coach. We don't want, as much as we
mm,
appreciate theories, we need to use theories to inform our
mm,
practice. But we want
mm,
coaches that have done things out there to come to the platform and tell us how
mm.
did they do it, like Coach Rahul has done.
Yes.
So it's beautiful. That's the new insights for me that I take. That it's not
Mm,
either or; it's both theory, academic stuff, and practice. But at the end of the day, your
mm,
clients are going to experience you in a session with them. So telling
absolutely.
them how many books you've read, how many certificates you have, that is helpful at the contracting phase of
Yes.
when they are buying your service. But once you
Yes.
are now in the contractual relationship with them, you are their partner. They have real issues. They want to tell
Mm,
you their issues, and you facilitate the jointly
mm,
with them to find out the answers. And I think the whole world right now has so
mm.
many challenges that coaches can come and step in and help.
Yes. It's very important for people to reach out to coaches, and there is so much the coaching experience can offer. So I feel a lot of education is required to help people understand the importance of coaching and the
Yes.
powerful benefits that the experience does deliver.
Beautiful. Now let's come to Coach Mishti. You,
Yes.
perhaps you can give us a short journey, but I'm very interested in the new relationship that your
Mm,
organization has forged with ODA. And you were
mm.
telling me that the chairman of ODA is the pioneer of coaching in India. I'm sure
Yes.
that is the story that viewers and listeners may want to hear.
Yes.
And we agreed that we should bring him on board as the next
Yes.
guest in our June edition of
Yes,
this
yes.
program.
So we'll just confirm that because in India things are very fluid right now. So so definitely we'll bring him as a guest. We'll just have the conversation with the team and confirm that so that we bring something concrete to our viewers. And
Yes, exactly.
yes, with our
Before we
last
promise,
experience,
we must talk
before
to
we
the
promise,
office.
yes, yes, with things being so fluid in India, it's difficult to comment till we actually deliver. But
Yes.
Santosh Babu is a pioneer of coaching in India. He's the one who brought in ICF coaching in India. He is one of the top coaches in the country and top 40 management thinkers. He's an author of a lot of books. So very interesting journey. And he formed this organization called OD Alternatives, I think in 1997 or 98. uh, Last 22 years of very strong experience in thought leadership, uh, driving transformation, OD development, organization development, leadership development, talent development. And it's essentially a consulting organization. So the way it works is through diagnostics, through problem solving, through providing the right framework to drive transformation. So, so the approach is diagnosis, understanding the core issues, understanding the ecosystem, understanding the whole culture of the organization, and the concept of social psychology is used a lot. There's a lot of understanding of social capital and how important it is to enhance the social capital in order to enhance organizational effectiveness or to enhance inclusion in the organization. So, very interesting insights that are there, but I will not share more about it now. I would leave that journey uh, to another show, and
Yes.
where we directly hear it from him and understand
Mm.
his experiences. But I can just tell you that this organization is one of the most reputed OD consulting organizations in India. And again, they have done a lot of work with global markets and some very innovative offerings currently in the space of diversity and inclusion. And it has the most premier certification in organization development with the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, which is one of the best institutes for human resource development in India. So they also have a partnership with the University of Chicago on programs on women leadership. So it's an absolute honor and privilege to be a part of ODA as a part of their core leadership team and be there as a partner. So I look
Wow.
forward to that journey. I'm still very new to the organization, but I look forward to the journey and to be able to contribute to that space.
Congratulations. That means
Yes,
they've seen something in you that they can benefit from as well. And I'm quite convinced that there is certainly a role that you are going to play that is going to enrich the organization and us in the ecosystem. So
absolutely.
yeah, and then
Thank you so
maybe
much. I'm grateful.
let's go to you yourself. I mean the journey that brought you here. I mean, every time I engage or I see comments from colleagues, people in
Mhm.
India around the work you do, there is something that you are doing that is definitely shaking up the issues there around the diversity and gender sensitization. Maybe just give us that background and how it came about, and why
See, I've
those topics.
been, yes, sure. It'll be a pleasure to talk about it. So, I've been working in the space of gender sensitization since over a decade now. Now, gender sensitization to me is not just restricted to India. My vision is to work with women globally and not just women. Now, when I talk about gender sensitization, it's helping people go beyond the gender as a label. It's just about being sensitive to the differences that any gender would bring. So it could be even men, women, LGBT, any community. It's just being sensitive to the differences that a gender brings, and and not having bias or stereotypes attached to it. So when
Mm,
I've been working with women in India, uh, the idea has been to help them embrace their choices, not feel guilty for being a mother and leaving the child at home while having to attend a presentation at work. The art of balancing, celebrating the choices they are making, and also go beyond the stereotypes that are rooted in the social system. So that's the intent, and
mm,
the overall intent is to strengthen self identity. So women in India, now it has changed, but earlier they measured themselves based on social identity rather than self identity. Am I the good mother?
mm.
Am I the good daughter? Am I the good daughter in law? Am I the
Yeah,
good sister?
yeah.
But our beautiful women out there, you're much more than that. The very fact that you are a woman, is so powerful. It's the feminine principle of leadership that's also there in men, which has, empathy. What Rahul was talking about when he spoke about empathy is the feminine principle of leadership. It's about empathy, it's about collaboration, it's about power, it's about bringing together. So, when I talk about gender sensitization, I want women to strengthen self identity, strengthen their concept of self and strengths and what they bring to the table beyond stereotypes. And I also want to celebrate men as allies, to reduce the gap, the gender gap. It's not, pitching one person against the other. It's not, we're not talking about women empowerment. So it's all about women issues and men are not important. It's not about that. It's just about
Mm,
coming together as allies and working together. And
mm,
also with men, there are stereotypes like boys don't cry, or the kind of responsibilities that men take on. So I would
mm,
also want to work with them to embrace their own sensitivity and
mm,
celebrate themselves beyond stereotypes, strengthen their identity. So that's an overall mission that I have, actually. And I do use the arts, that you're aware of that I use allied arts a lot for that purpose. So be it, writing or authoring something, uh, or theater or psychodrama or expressive art therapy. So I use those mediums a lot. But
mm.
my heart lies in the fact that I want every individual to celebrate themselves beyond the identity as a gender, just as the powerful human beings they are.
Mm. And you talk about gender sensitization not being country
Mm.
specific. This is a global phenomenon, and as a
Yes,
result, you will
yes,
want to work across the globe and reach out to other women in other countries. I mean, that's amazing, and that's
yes, yes,
India itself is a very big country. It could keep you
yes,
busy forever.
yes,
But why
yes.
the desire to work across the globe?
See, I also have a very strong desire that I keep mentioning to you, Sam, is to build a Ubuntu bridge. So I would want to. You can't do everything in one go, right? So I want to. My intent right now with the show and other initiatives is to build a strong bridge with two countries of South Africa and India. So that is the intent. And so any relationship that I form, I like to, be in service of that relationship, for lack of a better word. So currently I'm in service. So, any initiatives that I can do to strengthen the relationship would be of value to me. But
And then,
having
of
said,
course,
yes, yes,
sorry,
yes, yes,
apologies. And
yes,
of course, I was just counting. So far, we have had this is our third session, right? Or is
this is
the
our second
second?
session. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you had interviewed me first, so this is our third session.
Yes, yes. So I think it will be interesting, and the invitation is open out there to also have women on this platform. I mean, women coaches, and
Mm,
maybe next time we can talk about coaching's role in the sense in the gender sensitization, and that will be great, and that will be contributing to that building of the bridges. And last time I did comment on
mm,
your insights around the Ubuntu
yes,
concept, which is a South African way of relating
mm,
as a people.
mm,
But it's a global phenomenon. You know, when you see people, you recognize them, you appreciate them, you
mm,
acknowledge them, you affirm them. And irrespective of the agenda, but of course, there is a specific reason why you emphasize gender sensitization because of the narrow views, you know, the stereotypes
the
that are
stereotypes,
there
absolutely.
that end up disadvantaging women from achieving their greatness. So just without going deeper into it, what holds women back other than culture
That's such a
or
beautiful question.
tradition or
It's
tradition?
such a beautiful question, and I have done a lot of work in that area, so I'll be happy to talk about it. So,
Yes.
based on the work that I've done with women, strangely, there is a sense of
Mm.
fear in them.
Yes. Yes. There's a
There
sense
is
of fear.
there is a sense of fear, and that is because of I'll talk about a concept of collective. So if you because if I may pronounce it right, Ubuntu and Savavana and a
Yes.
lot of traditions, that concepts that you've been talking about, Sam, are a lot about the collective. seeing things as a whole, in the whole collective, in the ecosystem, and in the social capital. It's about the collective. So the collective, the feminine collective, if you see, uh, even in ancient times, has been repressed to a great extent.
mm,
There's a lot of feminine repression that has happened. And because of that, in the collective, there is that fear that women also carry within their own bodies, in their own self. So that sense of fear is there, the fear to open up. And so
yes.
the fear to really go out and show up as women. So I won't say that it's a generalization, because there is a changing face of women leaders globally. So a lot
Yes.
of it has changed. But even when it changes, there is a need to awaken the feminine leadership principle within. So when you reclaim and awaken the feminine leadership principle, which is the work that I do essentially, and you
Mm,
use your own masculine, the inner masculine, as an ally.
mm,
So, when I
yes.
talk about men as allies, so men and allies in the gender space is also there. Like right now, you are an ally to me because you've given me a platform to help me, express my intent. So, in the
Yes.
same way, in your environment, men are allies, but there is an inner masculine within you as well. The
Mm,
inner masculine is about structure. The inner masculine is about going forward. The inner masculine is about stillness. So there's, I mean, it's an entire workshop. So I will not take time for that. But when you use your inner masculine as an ally, and you use the feminine that you have, you completely awaken the feminine, then you would see a changing face in leadership. You will see women out there completely, owning themselves, their choices, their strengths, and coming out there and giving the contribution that they can really make. That is one aspect.
mm,
Now, if you're talking from a very common example, women also make choices for their families, for their homes. They choose to sacrifice. That is one aspect. And the other choice they make is, you know, comfort choices.
yeah.
So they feel very comfortable in their zones, and they don't want to push boundaries. So this is comes from the aspect of, wanting to nest. So, the
Mm,
nesting, the comfort. So there are a lot of holdbacks and barriers that are there. Again, it's a room of an entire workshop. Is So I am not going to take too much time, but I just wanted to talk about my vision is, helping people go beyond gender and celebrate
mm.
self-identity versus social identity.
Wow, powerful. And,
Mm.
and if somebody listening to you there, like our sister Kenzana who's tuned in and is commenting, that is powerful. Um, they're asking themselves, something must have triggered this in you as you were growing up that made you realize that some work must be done on this. What is it?
See, I think when you interviewed me, or when we had the conversation, I did share about my childhood. It was a very happy, nice childhood. So I've not had any tragic stories per se that triggered this. But while growing up, and it's happened to me in the last 10 years, to be honest. Since I started doing work in this area, that there's a calling that came to me that I need to work in this area. It started with helping people express themselves beyond stereotypes, and then suddenly, this whole need of diversity and inclusion and gender sensitization. In fact, last year I did a lot of work with the LGBT community as well. Coaching them strengthen
Yes,
their identity beyond gender, so
yes.
beyond the gender stereotypes associated with it. So
Mm.
I don't know why it's come to me, but it's just like you can see, my body language and my eyes, everything become very uh, passionate. You can see the passion flowing through
Yeah,
me. Yeah,
yeah,
when I talk
yeah.
about it. So there
Yes.
must be
And I think
something
I
that I
think
need to
that is
do.
a gift to the world, and you mustn't hold it back. And
Yes,
even on this platform, I know you need a workshop for people to really hear you and and and
yes,
and, and feel what you feel. but
Yes.
the empowerment of women in this way, I mean, that's what you have just shared with us now.
Mm.
The masculinity inside the women that they must reach out for them to move forward and forge ahead. Women are the mothers of the nations.
Mm.
And if you
Yes.
empower them, you've empowered the nations. So we say it's,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, it's also the feminine principle in men because
yeah.
I mean that's another subject altogether. I will not talk about it today. but but ultimately, Sam, you spoke about when you're talking about coaching, you spoke about dancing with your coaches, doing the dance. So I think it's a
Mm,
dance of the inner masculine and the inner feminine that really brings out potential, and it's the dance of with the men and the women when they come together as man, wife, as brothers and sisters, as colleagues, and
mm,
create the wonder in their workplaces and otherwise.
mm. And you told me that the reason why you're using art to
Mm,
facilitate some of these workshops,
mm,
it's because you were the artist yourself. You grew up
yes,
as an artist, and you
yes.
are you still an artist or
Remember the preview that I was doing, and suddenly I started talking about theater there. So I think once an artist, always an artist. So
yeah,
yeah, in fact,
performing? You were in the performing art.
yes, I've been a dancer actually. I've been a dancer. I've been a theater director. I've been a playwright. So I've been all of that. I'm not actively using it right now, but
Mm,
I do. I'm also a poet, so I do intend to keep expressing that side of mine. Right now, I use elements of psychorama, expressive art therapy, and allied arts in my work. But the rest of it is self-expression, lack of a better word.
yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah. Yeah, and then your Inagata
yes, yes,
concept.
yes. The inner
I mean,
katha.
then
Yes,
probably other
my
people. Last
organization.
time people heard you talking on radio, they didn't. They were not seeing your face, and now when we
Yes.
talk about this, I really see the expressions, and I know the Inagata is what you are known for in
Yes.
India, or perhaps in Mumbai, if I may say. But it looks like it was countrywide. Everybody was responding very positively to.
Yes, in fact, on gender sensitization, there was a magazine in New York that had written about my work in gender sensitization and also published my story. They were sharing global stories of women doing work in that space. So it has reached other countries, but I'm going to be taking one step at a time. I have some initiatives right now lined up that will focus on our sisters. Hopefully, I can contribute in some area with our sisters in South Africa and in India, and we'll see how that journey goes.
Mm, mm. Wow. Yeah. Okay. We are advancing towards the end of the show.
Yes,
Um, Perhaps we must just start rounding off. Um,
absolutely.
it's been a long conversation, but very fruitful, and I'm sure our viewers and listeners are learning something from this conversation, and we're gonna continue in this way. This is connecting. My bishop always talk about. Commerza being an organization that
Mhm,
connects people with knowledge. And I said to him that I'm going to steal that quote from him, that Commerza
mm,
connects people with knowledge. This
yes,
platform connects coaches with knowledge, and the two countries, building the bridge between the two
mm,
countries, reaching out to
mhm,
the world. I think
mm,
it's a wonderful conversation that we have had. From my side, I want to believe that the journey has just started, and
mhm.
we're going to hear more from some exciting coaches as we move ahead. Any closing
Absolutely.
remarks from your side? I mean, we have overcome some challenges as we stated at the beginning of the show, but we've overcome them in a very progressive way. There's no regrets at all.
Yes, yes. I think, sometimes what happens happens for the best. So I probably today's show was meant to offer what Rahul shared with us, so which was
Mm,
also very valuable. Yeah, so my closing remarks would be what you just said, that connecting people with knowledge, with experience, and looking forward to the next show and the next guest who's going to come in, and we will continue to be in service of
mm.
trying to bring in more experience and knowledge to the coaching community, and a lot of gratitude to all the wonderful viewers who tuned in today, for your patience, for supporting us through the change that happened, to helping us manage the crisis today. And please be safe. A lot of prayers to you, and more power to you in your coaching journey and your coaching work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mishti. And from us here in South Africa, in the African continent, we are keeping all our friends, brothers, and sisters India in our prayers. We hope that you will manage the situation very well, and very soon things will be put back to normal. We are with you, and we know the whole world is with India at the moment, and we are hopeful that we will come out of it. There's
Thank you.
absolutely believe in that. Thank you very much. I look forward to our next month's show. We will announce very soon to our viewers and listeners who the guest is going to be. And it's always a pleasure to welcome you and the guests on the platform. You take
Thank
care.
you.
Be
Thank
safe.
you, Sam. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you.